Hey y'all, the most watched video on my channel currently is my review of Apple's natural titanium Milanese Loop, a band that I really love, and it also costs $200. Now you guys challenged me to find a dupe, and I found a really good one on Amazon, so we're gonna be taking a look at this today. I'll do a brief comparison between the two, a quick review, and before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe, as that does help out my teeny tiny channel a whole lot. So let's get into it. Okay, so here's the dupe. It actually came in a bag, kind of a far cry from Apple's premium unboxing experience with their bands, but let's take a look at this. And guys, this is my honest first impressions. I have not taken this out of the bag up until this point, so let me take a look here. Okay. Wow, all right, this looks a lot more like Apple's band than I was expecting. It feels a little different, it's a little heavier. The mesh looks a little bit different. I'll have to compare that in a bit. Clasp is definitely not the same. It doesn't feel the same. Let's see. I can't tell if it's bigger than mine. Mine is a size medium. I wasn't able to choose my size on Amazon, so kind of a one-size-fits-all situation. This part of the clasp looks different. So let me start the process of putting this on my wrist, and we'll do a little comparison. Take a look at it. I just put the band on for the first time, just now getting to see it on my wrist. It is a lot more silver than the titanium version, that's for sure. But face value, just looking at it, it looks like Apple's version. So going into some things that you can see, it is much heavier than the titanium version. I feel the weight on my wrist. This is stainless steel versus titanium on Apple's band. Definitely heavier, it is thicker. I noticed that these edges here are kind of jagged. It's actually catching my skin as I rub my fingers over it. Apple's band is not like that at all. It also fits my wrist a little bit differently. I'll do a comparison here in a second. It's definitely hugging my wrist a bit more, and I really had to size it up because this band is bigger than the medium that I have. So you'll notice I've got it up way further than I usually do, and I cannot get this part of the clasp to close properly. You'll notice that it keeps popping up like that. I don't know if it's because I have it adjusted so tightly or if this just doesn't close properly. But, you know, it's a $29 dupe on Amazon, so it's not going to be perfect. But overall, not too bad. Clasp design, definitely different than the other one. It does not come apart as smoothly as Apple's band, and I did mention that this part is a little bit different, but I did notice that on wrist at least, it's a little bit more difficult to put on, but if I do it this way, it's nice and seamless, so it could just be how I have it sized. But overall, first impressions, it's a pretty nice band. All right, so let's get into a comparison between the two bands. So this is the Amazon dupe. Just want to show you guys some different angles of this, and we'll compare it to Apple's one in just a second here. Right, and here we have Apple's version. So I'll give you guys a nice quick look at this one, just to compare it to the other one in terms of sizing, in terms of looks. Okay, so now we got both bands side by side. Which one is Apple's version? Which one is the Amazon version? Think about it for a second. Lock in your answer. Okay, let me spoil it for you. This is the Apple version right here, and we've got Amazon's version. So let me quickly go through some of the most immediate changes I've noticed. So I'll hold up both of these up here. So starting with the band itself, the part that goes into the watch, much higher quality on Apple's version. There's no movement or anything like that. This one, you can tell it's not very well designed. It's kind of like coming out. It's not quite where it's supposed to be in the seams there. I actually had a difficult time putting on the Amazon one because the rubber kept coming out of this part and getting stuck in the watch. So that's something I immediately noticed. Two, we'll go over the clasps. You can definitely tell the clasp design is different. Again, Apple's one is over here. This is Amazon's on the left. Not only is this pointier, which kind of digs into your fingers when you're unlocking the band, it is not anywhere close to as smooth as Apple's version. This is kind of hard to demonstrate on camera, but Apple's is very buttery, and this feels snappy. I don't know how else to describe that, guys. And then moving on to the adjustability for the clasps. No matter what angle I put the Amazon one at, I cannot get it to sit flush like Apple's version. Apple's version sits perfectly flush, letting you know that's locked in. The Amazon version just kind of flaps up. And I took a look at the clasp itself. Honestly, I don't think this portion really does anything, you guys. I think it's more just looks so that it appears to be Apple's version. As for the mesh itself, very similar between the two bands. Amazon's one seems a little bit more silvery than the natural titanium one from Apple. So the color is definitely different. If you want one that perfectly matches the titanium on the Apple Watch Ultra, definitely go with Apple's version because it looks identical. As I mentioned, Amazon's is much heavier than the titanium, as this one is stainless steel, so it is just a little bit denser. And then one of the last things I can compare here is the clasp portion itself. So you'll notice it's in two portions on Apple's band. Amazon is just the single bar. And taking these bands on and off a few times, I can tell you Apple's is much smoother, it works better. Amazon's is snappy, but once you've used this one, you might not want to go back to this one. Let's just say that. All right, guys, now at this point, I'm sure you're wondering which band do I prefer? And I'll be honest, once you've used Apple's version of the band, you are not going to like Amazon's version of the band. So if you guys are looking to save money, go with the Amazon version, give it a try. And guys, thank you so much for watching my review of the Amazon Dupe natural stainless steel Milanese Loop, technically. Would you guys rock this band for just $29, or would you prefer Apple's version for $200? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see my original review of Apple's version of the band, that is floating above my head here. And if you guys like content like this, please feel free to subscribe. I'll wait. Please subscribe. Thank you. All right. But really though, it does please the algorithm gods and it helps my channel out greatly. So I do appreciate all of you. But with all that, I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.